When the funeral arrived, the ceremony was held at Farquhar Church, and after hearing that Thomas was the one who helped them towards Wordsworth Hospital, he was given the honour of being the funeral train. As the coffin was loaded, all the branch line engines whistled and honked and rang as a last salute, and Thomas puffed away with the happy thoughts about the pass of Mrs. Kyndley.
Near the top station of Thomas's branch line stood a lonely little cottage. This is the Kyndley Cottage. Not long ago it had caught fire, and although the cottage had now been repaired, Thomas hadn't seen Reginald Kyndley returning to it. He was worried. "Don't worry, Thomas. I'm sure he will return," replied Annie. Later that day, Thomas returned to the top station, and to his surprise he saw Reginald Kyndley in the yard with a smartly dressed man. "He's back! Reginald's back!" "Hello, Thomas." Thomas was very pleased. "You were right, Annie. Reginald did come back." "Well, it was a lucky guess." Thomas was beaming with happiness, but as he was about to pass the cottage and blow his whistle, he was surprised by what he saw. It was not Reginald, nor the smartly dressed man. All he could see was a sign saying, "For sale," in bold letters. Thomas was at a loss for words. As he pulled into the sheds later that night, he began telling Stanley and Turby about the for sale sign. "Yes," replied Stanley, "we saw it too. It's just not fair. We've been waiting for him to return, and as soon as he does, he decides to just go and sell his home. No, Thomas, I understand that you're upset, but we don't know why he's selling the cottage. He probably doesn't care for this branch line anymore, so quickly forgetting how much his late wife did." The next morning, Thomas puffed away with his passengers. He was still cross from last night. As he was nearing the tunnel, he saw Mr. Kyndley and the smartly dressed gentleman again. This time with a couple. "Hello, Thomas." "Thomas!" cried Annie and Clarabelle. "Reginald was only saying hello. You don't have to give him the cold buffer." But Thomas just carried on and didn't listen. Thomas arrived at the big station still upset. As his passengers disembarked, he saw the Fat Control on the platform. Thomas tried to cover up how he was feeling. "Thomas." "Good morning, sir. Is there anything that you want me to do?" "As a matter of fact, there is. Stanley is needed for some sorting at Wordsworth, but he was supposed to be taking a goods train a call to the top station. Can you please take it on your next train?" "Yes, sir," replied Thomas. Thomas was uncoupled from Annie and Clarabelle, and he puffed away to collect his train. Then an idea came into his funnel. "With a train like this, I'll make sure to puff along extra hard and blow all of my soot and ash all over the house. That will make anyone think twice about buying the Kyndley house and stop Reginald from abandoning it." Thomas chuckled to himself and shunted the trucks behind Annie and Clarabelle. Then they set off once again. They arrived at Hackenbeck. Now for my plan. When the guard blew his whistle and waved his green flag, Thomas puffed away slowly at first. Then as his wheels got faster and faster, he began to feel the grade. While Reginald and the smartly dressed gentleman were trying to set a deal with the young couple, Thomas came charging out of the tunnel, billowing black smoke from his funnel. Everyone was surprised, and the young couple was cross. But Thomas cheered as he puffed up the hill. It worked! It worked! What worked? Thomas! Thomas had gotten away with his plan, but he hadn't counted on the black smoke making his paint dirty, and Annie and Clarabelle's too. They were being cleaned in the yard until... Ahem! There, standing in the yard, was the Fat Controller with Reginald Kyndley alongside. Uh-oh, Thomas said quietly. Uh-oh, indeed. Thomas the Tank Engine, Reginald has told me that you billow black smoke at his home today, and I want to know the meaning of it. I only did it because it's been upsetting to see Reginald selling his cottage. It's obvious he doesn't care about this branch line the way Mrs. Kyndley did. Why, Thomas... Yes, I am selling the cottage, but only because I feel that it's time for me to move on. Not at all because I don't care about this branch line. I'm very proud to live along this line. My dear wife passed on for 5 years now, and I can't keep living in and dwelling on the past. So I feel that it's time to move on from the cottage. Besides, I found a new place over at Wellsworth, and when I relocated after my cottage caught fire, I love being closer to my family who live over there. I understand that change is a hard thing to live with, but changes do happen in life. And don't worry, I'll come and visit with all my family every now and then, just to see how you're getting on. So I'll still be around. This made Thomas smile for the first time all day. Now then, after telephone that young couple, they were quite keen on the cottage until you poured your smoke onto them. I'll tell them the whole story. I've ever been so foolish, Reginald. I'm so sorry to you and that couple. I hope you can forgive me, and good luck selling the house. That night, Thomas arrived back at the sheds. The Fat Controller and Reginald were there waiting for him with the other engines. Reginald had important news he wanted to share. It's official. I sold my cottage. Congratulations, cried the engines together in unison. So I guess this would be goodbye then. Indeed it will be, Thomas. A lorry will be coming to take my belongings to my new home at Wellsworth tomorrow. Anyway, I best be off. I still need to pack my things. Cheerio! As he left, Thomas looked towards the Fat Controller. Sir, I'd like to ask you something. The Fat Controller heard what Thomas had to say and he smiled. The lorry arrived, and as Mr. Kyndley placed his last load on the flatbed, he heard a cacophony of whistles and horns. He and his family walked towards the fence and gasped. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly fellow, for he's a jolly Reginald beamed happily. You are all very good friends. I will miss all of you. The engines all whistled and sang for He's a Jolly Good Fellow one last time. The Kyndley family all waved and gave their thanks to the engines. And as Reginald left in his granddaughter's car, the cottage fell silent. The engines missed him already, but they were very glad that he would soon return for visits. The young couple moved in later on. At first, the engines were quite skeptical, but after getting to know them, they began to warm up to the couple. Thomas even apologized to them for the cheeky trick that he played on them at Reginald. They soon accepted his apology and have since become good friends. Even though the Kyndleys no longer live in the cottage, it's still known as the Kyndley Cottage to all the engines, and always will be.